Hi, and welcome to your pre-introduction tutorial to Rhino. I thought I would give you guys um, a little intro to the Rhino interface before you guys start learning the individual tools that you'll be acquainted with later on in the tutorial that you're going to do. Um, the actual tutorial that I mentioned in class can be found up here along the toolbar. You go to the rightmost tab, which says Help. Go to Learn Rhino, and then go to Getting Started. You click on the Introduction, and that pulls up the first tutorial. You essentially click on Next, and you can cycle through the tutorial. It's actually a halfway decent tutorial, one of the better ones I've seen for softwares, and it's nice because it's fairly simple to follow and fairly well written, so hopefully you guys won't have a problem with going through that. If you guys do have any problems, or if you're getting stuck with the tutorial that you're on, feel free to email me and let me know, and maybe what I can do is put together another video answering some of the questions you guys might have with regard to the tutorial. So basically what I'd like to do is sort of give you an overview right now. Let me just delete this. I was kind of messing around before I started this video, but so let's go ahead and take a look at the interface. What you have up here at the very top is the menu bar, starting with File, Edit, View, Curve, etc. Some of the things that you see in many of the other software, such as Save, Insert, Export, um, um, Import, Print, can be found there. Here's where you do a lot of the editing involved in Rhino. And then you can also access many of the actual tools, such as the curve, surface, solid, and a lot of the actual tools can be accessed from this toolbar up here, or the menu bar that is. Next, I want to show you the command history window, which is essentially, if I pull this down, you'll be able to see this area here, which is the command history window. Any command that I type in, let's say I type in serve, it essentially shows that command. Now, if you wanted to undo, you can undo simply by typing in Control-Z, and that will undo certain commands. But it's nice to also have the ability to go back and look at what you've done, essentially by scrolling with your mouse up and down. You can look back at and see where you've what and where you've created certain things. Anyway, I usually keep that fairly small because I don't really use it very often, but it's nice to go back and look if you have to. Might as well draw a circle since I typed it in. Anyway, you also have the command prompt, which is part of the command history window, which is here, where I can type certain things, and as I'm typing it, it actually prompts me to the other commands that it thinks I want. So if I want to, let's say, extrudes the command, I can hit extrude, EX, and then it pulls up pretty much everything that starts with the EX, and maybe some other stuff as well, but then I can go find, okay, where is extrude down here, so I can select whichever extrude I want to use. The standard toolbar, which in Rhino 4 was just this along here, but now in Rhino 5, version 5 beta, it incorporates all these other tabs that changes the main toolbar here as well as you cycle through those tabs. So you can see the standard toolbar, the construction plane toolbar, the view, the display. These all actually don't change the main toolbar here, but then once you start getting to the drawing objects, such as curves, surfaces, you can see that they begin to modify these tools here as well. So solids, meshes, the render command, they all modify this left bar, whereas if you go to standard, seaplanes, you're still able to look at and select all the major tool commands on the left. Close that. So here's your graphics area. It's typically divided up into 4 viewports. I can grab these viewports and move them and expand them, make them smaller, however I want. I can also double click on the tab up here and it will maximize whichever viewport I double click on. If I want to bring it back, I can double click again. If I have it expanded, then what I can also do is I can come down here on the bottom and click these tabs and move from viewport to viewport simply by pushing on these tabs here. If I right click on this tab, it opens up a menu where I can select the certain render or how an object is displayed in the viewport. So let me grab a 3-dimensional object and let me just use a pyramid for now. And then just draw a pyramid. Right now I have it selected to be ghosted, so if I right click and I go to wireframe, it turns to a wireframe. Right click, go to rendered, it'll actually give me a view for whatever I have it rendered as. Right now the object is white because I haven't assigned any materials or any lighting to it, so it's just kind of just generic. If I right click on artistic, kind of gives me a sketch view of it. So you can kind of play around with that and see what it is that you like to model with. Let's see, this little world axis here kind of shows me where I'm at all times. The X, the Y, and then the Z for the vertical axis is here. You can turn that off if you want, but typically I just leave it on. The main toolbar, like we already discussed, is on the left, and then down here below are the object snap and status bars. So the grid snap, that turns on or off whether or not the object that I draw snaps to the grid. So if you see here on this top viewport, if I were to draw a line and I zoom in, no matter where I drew that line, it's always going to snap to the grid, no matter where I draw it. If I turn off the grid snap, it'll allow me to freely draw a line or whatever object I want to draw. I'll be able to do it freeform. If I hit spacebar, it ends my command. Ortho or orthographic or orthogonal. No matter what I draw, if I'm in the orthographic viewport or even in the perspective viewport, whatever I draw is actually only drawn at 90-degree or orthogonal angles. The O snap is the object snap, and a lot of times when you first open Rhino, this does not appear down here. So if this is not showing up on your screen, what you can do is I'll turn it off as if it's not there. You can go to Object Snap, you can right click and hit Object Snap Toolbar. That will turn on the object snaps down below. Now the object snaps, they enable you to begin drawing or modeling from certain points on objects or lines. So if I don't have the end, let's just say I turned off the end, midpoint, the center, and the intersection off. If I had those off and I were to draw something, it doesn't really give me any points of reference to begin drawing. If I turn on the end snap, then all of a sudden automatically it snaps to the end of that line and I can draw off of that. If I click on the point, it'll only snap to points. If I click on the midpoint, If I draw a line, it'll snap to midpoints of lines. See there, midpoint, 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 etc. Let's say I have a circle up here and I want to snap to the center. Right now I can't snap to it, so I turn on the center snap. And let's say I want to draw a center within the center. The way you snap to a center of a circle is you place your mouse close to the edge of that circle, and you hit enter as it gives you that center snap, and I can repeat the command by hitting spacebar and do it again. So as soon as I get fairly close to the edge of that circle, it'll snap to the center, and then I can draw another circle. I'm going to delete that. The gumball, we talked about the gumball in class, but once again, here it is. The gumball, let me change this to ghosted. The gumball enables you to do many things without having to access the move, the copy, the rotate command. All you got to do is essentially select it and then drag on these different arrows if you want to move it. If you want to rotate it, you can drag on the actual rotate curve. It'll rotate the object. Because I have ortho on, it's actually only letting me rotate in orthographic or orthogonal directions. But as you can see here, if I turn on ortho, it'll let me rotate it in any angle that I want. Now, over here on the right hand side is your properties and layers tab. If I wanted to take this object and I wanted to put it on a different layer, I would actually select the object by clicking it or by dragging a box around it and then going to the properties, and then there I can actually change whichever layer I want to put it on. The record history, which is down below here, allows me to record my certain steps that I make, which enables me to create parametric shapes, which allow me to modify them later on. So if I take this and I hit record history, and let's say I draw a curve like that, and let's say I want a loft, let me just take that curve and bring it down. Let's say I want to lock these two curves together. What it should do is, and hopefully it's working because I don't see it on, but if I select these two curves and I type in the command loft, it'll loft the surface, and then if I actually modify that curve after the fact, the actual surface should update, and it looks like it's not. So let me pause the video because I think I'm running out of the amount of time that YouTube lets me post videos. So I'll pause the video and then I'll do a quick little intro on how to use the record history command.